Hey moon lovers, I'm back and this is episode of number 9 of All Things Moon, lunar wisdom for everyday life. And I'm hoping you all got through the full moon lunar eclipse in Libra okay. There has been evidence I have seen that the Libra effect of peace and harmony and healing around relationships. So sudden things happening in relationships. Not my relationship, I might say. Everything is hunky-dory here. But I have been seeing evidence around me that things are occurring. So I just had a kind of a funny situation in Tesco's this week when I was looking for the meat-free vegan section, and it seemed to have disappeared. And I was right. I eventually found a member of staff who was none the wiser as to where the vegan section had gone. So I went and found a manager, and it turned out that the vegan section was going to be back the next day, but currently it's not there. And I said, a bit like the eclipse this morning then. 1 minute the moon was there and then the next minute it wasn't, and then it will be back again. And the guy I was speaking to, he said, a bit like my marriage suddenly disappeared. And I said to him, well, this full moon was in the sign of Libra, which was to do with relationships. And he looked quite shocked. And yes. So anyway, I digress. What I wanted to talk to you about this week, because it is imminent, it's March 30th, so it's Saturday, March 30th. And as usual, I've been sitting here procrastinating what I'm going to be talking to you about. But it is April Fool's Day in a couple of days' time. I think that happens to land on Easter Monday. And if you do get a chance to listen to this before that day, forewarned is forearmed. And that is the day that Mercury, the planet Mercury, turns officially retrograde for the first time this year. And he's pretty much going to be retrograde for the whole of April. So this is quite an interesting scenario we've got coming up. So, April Fools, it's Mercury retrograde. So what is Mercury retrograde? And just to let you know that he's going to go retrograde in the sign of Aries. Aries is feisty and impatient, fiery, and it's all about me. And generally, when we're in Aries season, the energy of Aries is that of action. Aries people tend to be the pioneers. They represent in the tarot the leap of faith, the Fool card. So they will take a running jump and worry about what's going to happen later. So they're like first ones in head first. And that's normally the energy of April, is that very much take action, let's get things happening. It's really, it's the beginning of the new tax year. It's the beginning of the zodiac year. And so it's all about beginnings. And also on April the 8th, we have a new moon in Aries. So that is all about new beginnings as well. And as I've previously talked about, and I will mention again a bit later, we have got a total solar eclipse of the sun in Aries on the 8th of April. And that will definitely be about sudden endings and beginnings of things. But we have got the trickster, the planet of communication, technology, and travel. Ruler of the air signs, of the airwaves, coming in. It won't be any surprise if something happens to this recording while I'm doing it, but hey, let's hope for the best. I am fully prepared. forewarned is forearmed, as they say. And so, yes, we have that trickster Mercury deciding that he's going to slow down and appear to be going in reverse for nearly the whole of April, which kind of gives a different kind of energy to that action that we want to take. So, what is retrograde? Retrograde, if we are sort of looking up, I always compare it to a tanker coming into a port. It starts to slow right down. And that's the phase that we've been in probably for the past 2 weeks. So we may well have already been noticing signs of Mercury turning retrograde. Because remember, he is the planet that rules all things communication, technology, and travel. So if you've had anything go wrong around these areas, or anything you've had to sort of go over around these areas, then that would be why. And I'll tell you a little thing that happened yesterday to make me aware of it and why I thought I would talk about it today. So when it's retrograde, it appears to be going backwards. Officially, it's not really. It's just slowing down and stationing. But because it's slowing down and stopping, those planets that are going faster, things that are going faster, go past it and makes it appear to be going backwards, where it's really not. It's just stationing. So it has that appearance like when you're on the motorway and you slow down and a car goes past it. It kind of can give that appearance of you going backwards. Anyway, yesterday, I was just about to teach yoga online, and I always do that on Zoom. And I went ahead and did exactly what I'd always do. I switched on the app and signed in, and it kept coming up as error. So I thought, I can't use my phone. Maybe I'll go and use my laptop. So I did that, and that didn't work either. So eventually, my friend who I was teaching, she sent me her link, but we only had 40 minutes on her link. So then she sent me another friend's link, and finally we got to the end of the class. But when I teach online and when I teach in person, my yoga classes, I nearly always pull a oracle card at the beginning of class. Because if you were listening to me last week, you know that I work much better off the cuff, spontaneous, and pulling an oracle card is a great way to give me some guidance as to where we're going to head in class. And I pulled this card out of, it's the Rebecca Campbell, the Starseed Oracle deck, and it is actually a picture very, very much sort of pulled out. If you were on my YouTube, which hopefully today, I'm picking a really bad day to go and attempt to go to my friends and try and get all my videos uploaded onto YouTube, because I'm having real trouble with it here in my house. So I'm going to go and borrow a faster internet. So if I manage to do it on a Mercury retrograde, it bodes well for the future, doesn't it? But yeah, this is the perspective card. So it's out in space looking back at the Earth. And the messages of this card, apart from having perspective, is none of this matters, common ground. And this is the sign that the oracle knows that Mercury is turning retrograde. The words on it says, zoom out. And my Zoom was completely out all day yesterday. And I had a wonderful healing session online last night on Zoom. And we have been using my Zoom, but luckily the lovely Susie Musk that I've been doing this healing modality with, that was my third session. It is truly amazing. She has Zoom now, so we were able to go online with her, and it seems like my Zoom is back today, just like the eclipse. Things keep disappearing and then reappearing. So we're definitely in the shadow phase. So a Mercury retrograde any planet that goes retrograde, it strengthens it when it stations. You know, those waves in the port when the tanker pulls in get bigger, they get stronger. And I have talked about Mercury on previous episodes. We've actually got 4 Mercury retrograde cycles this year as well. So use this one as preparation for the others. But this one is happening through the most intense month of 2024. After April's out of the way, things should hopefully lighten up a little bit. And on my next episode, I will tell you a bit more about there is going to be a conjunction between the planet Jupiter and the planet Uranus on the 20th of April. And that, I'm quite excited about that one. That is, that's going to bode well. I think that's going to bring good things. So I'll tell you about that on my next episode. But this month has, you know, with this total solar eclipse, with Mercury turning retrograde, we've also got the North Node in Aries, and that's where we are headed as a collective. So that's all about, you know, our soul's purpose, where we're headed towards. The energy of Aries is all about me and, you know, the I am. So we've got that happening. We've also got recently, we've got Chiron in Aries as well. And Chiron is that wounded healer energy. So it's all about healing old wounds and patterns that we might be carrying with us. So I've just had my 3rd healing session, and I can honestly say that I really do feel different. And I do have Chiron in Aries in my birth chart, and anybody who was born around the same time as me would have that too. It's more of a, you know, a generational thing. And so the fact that there was an exact conjunction of Chiron in Aries in February, that this transformation of self would have started to happen for anybody a little bit earlier than this total eclipse that we've got coming up. So yeah, we've got 4 Mercury retrograde cycles, another couple of other challenging transits, which I will talk about those. I talk about all of this much more in depth on my online moon ceremonies that I do every 2 weeks. So I will tell you about that at the end as well. But I can honestly predict that April will be the most intense month of 2024. And, you know, having Mercury retrograde in Aries could make it all a little bit impolite. Can get a little bit angry. Things could be said out of turn, you know, just slipping out. Things can get misconstrued, so that can create some anger. And, I've already seen evidence of that happening. So if you can imagine that we've been in the shadow phase of Mercury, the planet of communication and travel and plans, turning retrograde at the same time as that Libra eclipse, full moon eclipse, the energy of relationships. So you can see, if you have fallen out with somebody in the past week or so, you know, forgive yourself. It was highly likely to happen. And, you know, eclipses and new moons and full moons are always good times to, you know, sit down and reevaluate and reflect on maybe where you've gone a little wrong, and you always get opportunity to put it right again. So what else have I got to tell you about? So this eclipse coming up on the 8th of April, it's at 7:20 in the evening here on the 8th. And at that particular time, I will be driving over to OC Park in Malden, Heybridge Basin. and in Essex, because I'll be starting my first Pilates class in a very long time at their lovely studio that they've opened up there next to the sea. So that's what I'm going to be doing that evening. As that eclipse is happening, I will be driving during a Mercury retrograde. So I figure it's probably a good idea to leave early to get there in time, in plenty of time. And my mum's got a caravan there, so I can go and sit in there and wait so that I arrive on time. So this is useful things to know, being prepared. This Aries eclipse is the I am, as I have mentioned before, the transformation of self. It's a really powerful time to reevaluate our relationship with ourself. The previous eclipse was all about relationship with others, whereas this one is all about our relationship with ourselves. So a really good time if you have been thinking, I really need to get my self-love plan underway, my favorite hashtag, and then this is the time, absolutely the time. And because we've got Mercury turning retrograde, one of the main things about a retrograde time is it's time to go back over things, not time to start something new. So it's a good time to retreat, reflect, reevaluate, redo, retire, reread a contract. Just going over things again. A really good time to sit with your journal and do some reflection time. So every time I do a moon ceremony, I give you journaling prompts, and you sit with your journal and have some reflection time whilst I pull some oracle cards, see what the oracle has to say. This eclipse, the last time we had this Libra Aries eclipse portal was in 2005. So you want to take yourself back in your mind to what was going on in 2005. And, it's ushering in pivotal beginnings and closures in the area of your chart that's governed by Aries and Libra. So if you've got your birth chart, you can go have a look at that. If you know what your rising sign is, you know where that moon is going to be and what house it's going to be affecting, what area of your life it's going to be highlighting for you. A solar eclipse in Aries is anything but subtle, I might tell you, especially as we've got Chiron and, the wounded healer in there. And it can also highlight and challenge issues or our issues around being independent, personal courage, being assertive. We might take steps towards mastering ourselves, self-mastery, self-empowerment, and tackling things that might undermine that for us. It will be time to take stock of the last 19 years, because this is the end of a 19-year cycle. And the most prevalent themes that you might be leaving behind and what you might want to bring in during the next 19-year cycle. And remember, we've also got Pluto in Aquarius for the next 20 years as well. So the next 19, 20 years can really see big change for all of us on a collective level and individual. I was sitting looking back at what was happening to me in that 19 years ago, and it's unbelievable that this eclipse is on the same date. So it's on April the 8th, and it was on the same date 19 years ago, and it was at 19 degrees as well, at the same degree. So it's really interesting that it's almost like a repeat of it, the beginning and the end of a cycle. And looking back to that time, that was the time when I was starting to feel very stuck in my marriage at the time. I was married then, And it really was the time that everything started to change for me. And I felt, a bit like I needed to break free and find myself again. And by 2006, February 2006, around Valentine's Day, which we've talked about before, that was the end of that. And I got divorced in 2006. So it's the end of that cycle of my life for sure. And anything that's still to do with that. So, what else can I tell you about? So I really do think, it's a really good time to take stock. Maybe come and join me. My moon ceremony before the eclipse is actually going to be on April the 7th. That's the Sunday evening. I always do them from 8 till 9:30 in the evening. And I'll leave all the details so that you can find where to book for that on my website, kellyjones.me. What else is happening in the next week? So the Self-Love Club is back again on the 5th of April. So that's a Friday morning from 9:30 to 11, where again, if you come along to that, we get a chance to sit with our journals and do some reflection time. And because you're there with me in person, and I need to practice my astrology training because it is the last week of my training this year for my first year. So I'm going to be looking to practice that. So we go a little bit more in depth in that class into your personal astrology after we've done an hour of yoga, of course. And also on the 6th of April, so that's next Saturday, I'm taking part in a wonderful ladies only retreat. It's a small and intimate retreat called the Radiant Womb Retreat at the Nesting Place in Little Waltham. That's happening from 9:30 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. So it's a whole day of wonderful things. So I'm just going to read out the details of this because it's not my retreat. I'm just doing some sound healing and a small moon ceremony. So this is a one-day spiritual fertility retreat for those looking to prepare their mind, bodies and souls for pregnancy. So it's quite a specific niche retreat. It's also perfect for deepening the connection to yourself and your womb space, reconnecting you to your power and your creator energy. So I think that retreat is happening just before this Aries eclipse, which is all about self-empowerment. This is going to be an intimate, beautiful, transformative healing experience for all involved. And the ladies have worked very hard to create an environment where you can totally switch off, relax, and let the stresses of the outside world melt away. Day of self-care and bliss. And as I said, on the 7th, I've got the new moon eclipse moon ceremony online and my Pilates class from 8 till 9 on the 8th. And then after that, there is quite a bit of action happening. So I think on the 13th and 14th, Tom is going to be, my partner Tom, he's going to be doing sound healing at a men's only retreat. So isn't it interesting, after the Libra eclipse, which is all about you versus me, this balance between you, and me. And I'm not sure if I mentioned it before, but the gong bath that I did 2 gong baths last weekend, and we had 3 men out of about 55 people that attended. All the rest, there was over 50 women came along. And so it's really wonderful that there is a ladies only retreat coming up and then a men only retreat. And also in May, I think it's May the 11th, there is a women's only retreat, Yoga Wild, which I will be doing some sound healing there, I think. I'm going along to that anyway. So it's all about retreats and festivals this month. And then we're off on holiday to Italy on the 23rd. So I'm not sure when I'm doing all these retreats and holidays as to what will happen. So I will do my best to try and pre-record something for you all whilst I'm away. But if not, it'll only be a short time before I'm back again. And I might actually, there's plenty of episodes if you haven't listened to them all to catch up with, and I think they're always relevant no matter when you're listening to them. There's always something in there. So I think that's all I have got to share with you today. It's Easter time, so it's a happy Easter time to you all. Enjoy the spring weather that we're having finally today. And if you can get outside into nature, then, do try and go outside and stop and notice yourself, notice how you're feeling. Remember that Mercury, the trickster, is going to come along to try and change your plans and affect your travel plans and affect your technology, and just double check any communications you're sending, double check that you said the right thing, double check that the person received it. I always think phoning is better than texting at this time, definitely, to make yourself clear. And if you're traveling, double check all your travel documents, your times that you need to be there, leave early, and take this time to reflect and retreat, redo, renew, reevaluate. And I will see you all on the next podcast when we are going to be in the thick of the eclipse energy. So take care, and I'll see you all next week.